Hello, today we're traveling to the Middle East.
Haha, don't spit on me. I just put on a clean t-shirt.
A little-known country where a 1,000-year history, deep culture, impressive mountains, and blue sea coasts all magically intertwine. Try to guess what country this is and be sure to leave a comment below. I arrived in a little-known country. I'm rolling along mountain roads that naturally wind through the terrain, where every single turn opens up a breathtaking new view of steep cliffs, deep gorges, and small towns nestled in the distance. Their colors match the surroundings, as sand, stone, and earth tones blend so naturally with the landscape that it's truly hard to separate nature from human creation.
I am standing right next to a dry riverbed where they have actually built a local football field. And right next to it sits the old town, that distinctive brownish one over there, and the new town featuring a mosque surrounded by stunning nature.
Sitting here, looking at an ancient town where stone buildings stand frozen in time. Narrow streets and centuries-old architecture create details that feel like they belong to another era. So try to guess where in the world I am. Maybe some of you already figured it out. Today, we are traveling to Oman. We're going to visit the Wahiba Sands Desert, a place where the sand moves like something alive, followed by a wild, uncrowded coast with steep cliffs and long, empty beaches. Oman means contrast in a single journey: sand and water, silence and wind, infinity and sharp natural breaks.
Goats are probably the animals you can see the most of in Oman. Not camels and not horses, but rather these incredible beauties right here. This one over here is really cute. Actually, these goats are very pretty. You can tell they are well fed. We're at the Jebel Shams region. Very stunning views are opening up down below. It is genuinely a formidable and steep cliff edge, bordering on terrifying, yet exceptionally stunning to behold. No, don't climb me please, thanks, look right here. Look at that, the goat really knows how to stand, following the hiking trails carefully along the base of this massive ridge. Honestly, it is quite terrifying to even walk up close to the edge. Wow, look at that! I'm actually heading right over there. Somewhere right out there.
We begin our journey at Jebel Shams, Oman's most breathtaking secret. Reaching heights of nearly 3,000 meters, or 2 miles, it stands as the highest peak in the country. Often hailed as the Mountain of the Sun, it overlooks Wadi Ghul, one of the deepest gorges in Arabia, frequently revered as the region's very own Grand Canyon. This monumental canyon opens up so suddenly, it appears as though the earth was torn apart. Cliff faces plummet hundreds of meters downward, their edges weaving into the distant horizon.
Along the trail there is a vehicle wreck that tumbled down the mountain. It looks completely rounded like a ball, having clearly tumbled from heights. Caution is essential in Oman's mountains to avoid meeting a similar fate.
Standing on this sheer edge, the world feels completely frozen in time, with only the wind moving between the rocks to remind us that this landscape is alive. From this breathtaking pinnacle, our Omani discovery unfolds, a land defined by extraordinary contrasts. From the rugged Hajar Mountains stretching across the nation to the vast Wahiba Sands, where dunes shift like waves in an ocean. Further stretches the Indian Ocean coastline, boasting wild beaches, rugged cliffs, and sanctuaries where nature remains untouched.
I'm driving on one of Oman's most beautiful roads, surrounded by mountains along the coast. It feels like an idyllic spot in the warm Arab lands, especially with camels casually walking right across the open road.
Most people imagine Oman as nothing more than a desert, but its true character actually begins in the mountains. The Hajar Range stretches across nearly the entire country, not as soft hills, but as rocky cliffs that often resemble a stone labyrinth. Life still thrives in these mountains. In small villages, locals raise goats, water their fields, and still use ancient afflage systems. These channels have carried water for over 1,000 years, bringing spring water from the mountains. Just below them, a different side of Oman starts, the land of sand and camels.
Honestly, this drive is incredible. The view literally changes around every single turn. You've got cliffs that literally look like a layer cake, then crazy mountains, and then boom, the blue ocean right there. The camels here are very friendly. Alright buddy, just don't spit on me, okay? Anything but the spitting. I've got a clean t-shirt on. This little guy looks pretty young, maybe a year old. As you can see, he's super curious.
Camels here aren't just symbols. They were vital for local survival. For centuries, trade caravans crossed the Wahiba sands, carrying frankincense, spices, and other goods from the interior all the way to the coast. It was trade that shaped Oman into exactly what it is today. Historically a powerful maritime sultanate, its ships reached India, East Africa, and the Persian Gulf. In the 19th century, the Omani Sultanate even ruled Zanzibar off the coast of East Africa. Thanks to this history, Oman retains a unique identity, a blend of Arab, maritime, and desert culture. Yet the discovery of oil changed everything. Decades ago, Oman remained isolated, relying on trade, fishing, and caravans. Today, you see modern roads, growing cities, and strong infrastructure. Importantly, Oman strives to maintain balance, unlike some of its neighbors. Lacking massive oil reserves, it invests in modern ports and logistics infrastructure to ensure its future doesn't depend solely on oil. And another interesting aspect is that Oman simply isn't a country that flaunts its wealth. Even with its rich oil revenues, it always chooses a more modest path, deliberately avoiding the flashy excess seen in some neighboring nations. It focuses on authenticity, nature, and deep history. Tourism here is different. Oman doesn't aggressively push it, instead allowing travelers to discover the country quite naturally.
I'm standing inside the Bahla fort. The walls are remarkably strong, built entirely from mud brick instead of stone. The entire fort is basically mud, making it the largest in the Arabian Peninsula. It clearly looks powerful, yet remarkably well preserved.
Throughout Oman, castles and fortresses dot the landscape, even in seemingly desolate mountains and deserts. This is no coincidence. For centuries, the land was divided into competing sultanates and city-states that guarded their borders. Oman's distinct historical statehood actually goes back more than 1,000 years.
Well, it looks simple enough. 2-meter or 6-feet thick mud walls are standing everywhere. You see beautiful wooden ceilings throughout, with rooms dedicated to different uses: prisons, kitchens, and various defensive chambers.
As far back as the early Middle Ages, imamates and sultanates took shape here, creating governance systems where religious and secular leaders jointly ruled their regions. To protect themselves, locals built over 500 forts across Oman. They were more than just military structures. These forts served as residential and administrative centers. Built from clay, stone, and lime, they were built not just for defense, but to display power.
The fort has impressive rooms, like this 6-meter-tall library. Behind me stands the impressive Jabrin Fort, which wasn't just built for defense, but also served as a renowned center of learning. Inside, there's even a special judge's chamber, so let's head on in.
In the past, Oman wasn't a unified state. Instead, it was a vast network of regions where every city or oasis could boast its own ruler, army, and fortress. When you look at these structures today, they seem quiet and peaceful, but centuries ago they were filled with battles, negotiations, lives, and deaths. That is why Oman's forts are much more than stone. It is a whole story of survival in the desert, where every single city had to learn to defend itself.
This stunning historic fort was built 350 years ago, serving not just as a defense, but as a rich cultural center.
Oman is one of the oldest inhabited places in the Arabian Peninsula, where people have lived for thousands of years. This is a country where history isn't locked in museums, but lives in everyday life, villages, mountain town, and cities. White houses aren't just for aesthetics, they're a necessity. It reflects the sun, where summer heat often passes 40 degrees Celsius or 105 degrees Fahrenheit. For centuries, this land was a network of sultanates and trading empires. Omani ships sailed to India, Persia, and East Africa, carrying frankincense and spices that made the country a vital maritime hub. Even though Oman is modernizing through oil and investment today, it retains a distinct sense of peace, without excessive flash. It's more about quiet, nature, and the spirit of old Arabia that can still be felt in every town.
I'm in the historic town of Wadi Tanuf, dating back 2,000 years. People once lived in this place, directing water streaming down from the mountain into palm plantations. It thrived back then, a truly impressive town in its day. However, during the civil war in Oman, this historic town was destroyed.
Oman's history stretches back at least 10,000 years. Traces of human life here date back to the Stone Age, later evolving into a crucial hub for trade and maritime routes across the Arabian Peninsula. And one of the clearest traces is Old Wadi Tanuf, a hidden town nestled deep within the Hajar Mountains. Today, only stone walls and ruins remain, yet they still tell the story of oasis life, where people carved out an existence among the rocks and protected themselves from nature and conflicts.
It's amazing stepping back 2,000 years as you walk these ancient ruins. And did you know that Oman has banned building high-rise skyscrapers? Even in the capital Muscat, there are still no skyscrapers like in overbuilt Dubai. This city doesn't try to show off or impress anyone, it's just authentic and natural. It works to preserve the natural beauty of Oman, blending cozy small towns seamlessly into mountain backdrops. It feels so cozy and beautiful. You can see so many sites like this in Oman. They truly safeguard their culture, restoring as much as they can to proudly share it with the world and Arabia. Oman even actively restricts tourism, making no effort to draw mass crowds like Dubai, Thailand, or other top tourist destinations. You won't see their marketing ads anywhere else in mainstream media, on websites, or on television. The average salary here is twice as high as in Europe, yet nobody flaunts it. You won't see supercars everywhere. People dress simply and interact naturally and genuinely. It really is an exceptionally pleasant country. Because the country is wealthy, it can afford to stay preserved, making it very fascinating and unspoiled. The people are genuine, allowing you to experience not just local Omani life, but the rich historical legacy and flavor of the entire Arab culture. Believe it or not, there are very few international restaurants here. Maybe a few Pakistani places, but mostly Omani cuisine, as immigrants are few. It's a closed country. Good morning. Today I'll take you through beautiful Oman, sailing out to islands surrounded by vibrant waters. The islands are small and empty.
I say goodbye to mountainous Oman and head down to the sea. A completely new and different side of the country awaits as we sail to the Daymaniyat Islands. It's a small archipelago is about 40 kilometers or 25 miles from Muscat. At first glance, it seems like just barren rocks and dry terrain, but the true wonder begins beneath the surface.
I've landed on the Daymaniyat Islands. A beautiful little cove inside the island, bright water, with fish swimming everywhere. I'll be staying on this little beach for the day, taking it easy and soaking up the sun.
The Daymaniyat Islands are a protected nature reserve, famous throughout Oman as one of its ultimate diving destinations, and for good reason. The water here is so clear that visibility reaches 30 meters, or nearly 100 feet. It feels like floating in the air rather than in water. This intense, vibrant blue comes from ultra-clean water, minimal runoff, and filtering reefs. Sunlight hits the ocean floor directly, making the coral reefs glow from within, shifting from turquoise to deep sapphire. Beneath the surface, it's even more intense. Fish dart around corals, sea turtles glide by, and reef sharks swim. The uninhabited islands are just bare rock and sand above, but below, an entirely new world comes alive.
Nothing beats the ultimate beach grill. Food just always tastes so much better out in the wild. Food, this will be a nice little grill. We will try the lamb ribs. It's wonderful grilling out in nature. The meat just always tastes the best. Well, look at this juicy lamb right here. You have no idea how delicious it is to eat in a place like this. I am surrounded by the sea and sun and can't wait to taste it. Just look at how juicy the meat is. Smoky, amazingly tender, and loaded with flavor. The meat even has a lovely subtle sweetness to it. The shoreline of the island is covered with small oysters, and they are completely edible. Here's what a tiny little oyster looks like. It would be delicious to try with a lime. The sun is setting. It's so nice to stroll through the villages. This is a date palm plantation, but since it's not harvest season, they aren't growing right now. Still, it's super cozy green and pleasant. A few houses stand here, so they must have a lovely view of the green palm grove all the time.
Once the day's heat cools down, Oman comes alive. Streets that were completely empty during the afternoon fill with energy. People step out for walks, gather together, and stroll through old towns. Traditional culture is everywhere. Most men are dressed in a dishdasha, a long, crisp white or light-colored traditional robe with delicate collar stitching, along with a traditional kuma cap or an intricately wrapped masar turban on their head. And the most interesting part is that this isn't just for show. Even my taxi driver was dressed in the exact same attire as the hotel receptionist and the local shopkeeper. It's just everyday life here, not an exception. Women often wear elegant yet modest clothing that preserves their cultural identity while fitting right into modern life. Islam in Oman is an essential part of daily life, yet it feels wonderfully calm and natural. Most of the population follows Ibadism, one of the oldest branches of Islam, which stands out for its moderation, deep tolerance, and strong emphasis on peace. That is why Oman is often considered one of the region's most stable and peaceful sultanates. Prayers take place here 5 times a day, yet daily life never grinds to a halt. It just aligns with the religious rhythm. In the cities, I notice mosques in almost every single neighborhood, with clean, understated, and unpretentious designs. Islam plays a massive role in building community spirit here, where values like mutual respect, genuine hospitality, and gentleness are felt in every interaction, from rural villages to bustling city markets. And perhaps most importantly, religion here isn't loud. It simply lives with the people as a natural part of who they are. If you enjoyed this travel episode, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more. In our future videos, we will journey deeper into Oman's most unique spots, from majestic mountains to deserts, ancient villages to nature. See you next time.